Hello and a warm welcome to Keeping It Real by Housing.com, a podcast where we dive deep into the world of real estate, track trends, and discuss insights about the industry. I'm your host, Gaurav Chaudhary. In this episode, we're going to turn the lens on Chennai with a specific focus on the regulatory landscape that is redefining the property market here. There's also the question of the transformation that has been brought about by the enforcement of RERA. There's also the question of affordable housing and what does it all mean for developers, for buyers, and the market as a whole. To talk about all of this and much more, I have with me someone who knows it like the back of his palm and has been tracking it for decades. I have with me G Vivekanand, partner in IndusLaw, right here in Chennai. So let's get real. Welcome to the show, Vivekanand. Delighted to have you here.
Thank you. Pleasure, Gaurav.
We can call it a decade of change or transformation. Ever since RERA was instituted and legislated all across the country in all states, there has been a massive jump in registrations of real estate projects. Some numbers would help. Over the last 10 years, an estimated number of 1.19 lakh real estate projects have been registered under RERA. Of this, about 20,000 alone is in Tamil Nadu. So what does it mean? How has this changed the Chennai property market? What are the key changes that you have seen? What does it mean for home buyers? What does it mean for developers? Does it mean that consumers are now feeling more confident because developers are bringing in more transparency in their project execution? Does it make home buying more appealing to consumers now?
Yeah, definitely RERA has made the sector very organized, or the industry organized. Though real estate is still now, they are not given the industrial status, but sector-wise, yes, it has a little organized and regulated the sector, and it is more on confidence of transparency and the customers' information, which were lacking earlier before RERA. Now, for any project, anybody can check what is the features and what is the status of the project, and the dispute mechanism or the complaint mechanism also helps. And there is a watchdog on the developers to perform and deliver on time. See, earlier that the only allegations on most allegation was that on time, delivery on time. So now there is a penal provision, there is a transparency, and there is a commitment from the developer to say that this is the timelines, and if the timelines are violated, he is not allowed to market it, or he is little blacklisted when there is a multiple defaults. All those enactments or all the provisions definitely gives a confidence on this thing.
You know, Vivekanand, there's a lot happening in the Tamil Nadu realty market. The state recently saw the Apartment Ownership Act being amended, which will kind of enable and open up the redevelopment of older buildings. How do you see this playing out? It seems to be a bit of a playbook from what's happened and has been happening in a big city like Mumbai. But how do you see this playing out? Do you think it's going to unlock values of older buildings and also going to unlock a lot of value in prime localities?
As you rightly pointed out, it's an amendment to the Apartment Ownership Act. In fact, they have repealed the old act and brought it into a new act. But to compare with Mumbai may not be the right thing, because Mumbai has a comprehensive apartment, and the right of ownership is different from Mumbai to Tamil Nadu. So because the ownership there is with the society of the land, and the building is owned by the this. I'm just giving an example. And whereas in Tamil Nadu, both land and building is owned by the purchaser himself. So there is a slight difference on the thing, but Mumbai is more comprehensive. Tamil Nadu is trying to get into that space where they give a more right defined in the apartments. Earlier Apartment Act doesn't have much rights defined, or the DOD, which was in the earlier apartment, was not really enforced. Today they have made rules, and there is a provision where the individual apartment and the common rights and amenities are defined, well defined, and by registration of a DOD or this thing, and it's made as mandatory. Plus, the formation of the association is also regulated under the Apartment Ownership Act. For example, redevelopment is little given if there is a dissenting member, there is a power to overpower them. But there may be a teething problem on the title transfer and other things in the redevelopment. But still, to some extent, they have little regulated and they have enhanced the procedure to move forward on the easy identification of the rights and liabilities of the parties. And it becomes more consolidation of the documentation and makes more the documentation simpler. In the developed countries, you can see that the documentations are much, much easier than compared to Indian, because each state has their own this thing. So we are moving forward to consolidation of the documentation also, which makes easier that the one document, there is one document to look at understanding all the rights of the parties.
Absolutely.
So that's the most advantageous of these enactments.
Vivekanand, you did talk about timelines in one of your previous responses. Let's turn the lens with more focus on timelines. There is now a watchdog, RERA. Do you think project developers are now developing projects on a timely basis, or if I may say so, on a more timely basis, because there's someone watching over them, which is RERA, and it's eventually helping the industry grow in a more healthier manner, because the ecosystem has got healthier, there are transparency, there is more timeliness, and there are systems, processes, regulations and laws in place. There could be some short-term roadblocks, but don't you think the ecosystem has got far more healthier because of the watchdog?
Of course, see, timelines are twofold. Let me put it this way. One is timelines which are promised and timelines which are not promised.
Right.
So now you can't get away by promising and not performing.
Correct.
So you can't delay the promises which you are made. And the contracts also have strictly adhered to the timelines. And regulations, RERA particularly says you can't mechanically get an extension of timelines. For example, COVID also, they didn't give much extension. They were only giving in a trenched manner to give that, because I don't want to give a omnibus extension. So that way they are regulating the timelines on this thing. And with regard to transparency, yes, with what is the features given, how much is the time, it can't be unreasonably given more time also. And that way they have regulated. Now they amended the development plan also, which is the maximum 8 years is the outline in Tamil Nadu.
Right.
For completion of the project, irrespective of the size of the project. So if you are not completing within the timelines, then there is a check on that also, that the developer has to re-go for the re-spend on the apartment approvals. So that way there are multiple laws which are enacted besides RERA, and RERA is also supplementing to the regulatory of timelines. So, and customers are now well made aware, like earlier, because they need not go to the developer to check what is the status of using. Now, developers are made to upload in the RERA website, and each project has its own websites and the information.
Transparency has been one of the biggest gains.
Correct.
Let me also talk about affordability, which is always an evergreen subject in real estate. But I think there is some kind of a gap between affordability and reality. Since the pandemic, prices have actually only surged. Large part of that, of course, will be also because of rising input costs like cement and steel, intermediates, and also land. So what consumers say that, what is called as affordable is not really affordable now because it's still within out of their reach. Do you think there is a case for the government to actually chip in with some kind of a policy, whether it could be a fiscal incentive or something else, to actually make houses more affordable for the people who are willing to buy to stay?
See, governments, at least in Tamil Nadu, I can say governments have taken steps, and in fact, our development control regulations have that affordability policy where in every project, high-rise projects, they should provide 10% of economic weaker section, this thing, which is much cost lower than the other part of the project in the same project. So they have to some extent enforced, or they have regulated the affordability of if each project should have a sector where there must be some people who can afford. So they have regulated it, and I can tell you also where taxation in Tamil Nadu, they have brought down the stamp duty and registration fees for women, which is a recent development. At a particular projects, they get the 50% waiver for the women if they register in the name of the women. So these are the steps taken by the government. But see, we can say affordability changes from time to time.
Right.
The GDP of the people also changes. So today, what is not affordable becomes affordable after 6 months for us also.
Yes.
So that way, I think the policies are in place and the enforcement agencies are also in place. I don't think, and I can urge you that any project size, our developers on the launch days just sell away 60 to 70%, and which I don't think it can't happen without affordability.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is true. So the sales figures are actually saying that, people the level of affordability is going up. Let me bring you to another question on the cost of compliance, and we can see, regulation in the real estate sector the changes in regulation and rules and laws have been very rapid and also sometimes very frequent. Do you think it has raised the compliance cost for developers? Are there any gray areas so far as legacy issues are concerned? Or do you think it has actually ended up opening a lot more opportunities for developers? Because compliance is something that real estate industry was always described as one industry where the compliance levels were low. But since RERA came into being and all other associated regulations came into place, compliance has gone up. So do you think that has actually ended up opening more opportunities?
So I would say it has enhanced the opportunities. I would not say it was a hurdle for the opportunities. But having to answer that question on compliance and the hurdles, yes, there are hurdles. I'm not saying there are issues, but it happens in everywhere when there is a new procedure is followed or new procedure is implemented. There will always be a teething problem. We need to follow that and we need to get over the teething problems. But in my view, the opportunities are the opportunities are twofold. One is a good developer will always go and market saying that we are so much of compliances and we have followed the law, and this thing that will be a USP for them. So that way, the compliance also makes the opportunity for the developer and the good developers to sustain in the market and to eliminate who are not able to perform them. So that way, it is consolidating the community also and the society also, is my view.
Absolutely. And final question, Vivekanand, let's take a step back and look ahead. Regulation is here to stay, and regulation probably is going to be even more frequent because it's a dynamic market. How do you see the industry developing, particularly in a market like Chennai? Do you see more organized development leading to more consolidation, or do you see some kind of a slowdown actually coming about?
I think the market has opened up for many sectors, which is allied to real estate. It's not only, I would not talk about real estate alone. See, Chennai is open now, and though there are compliances, for residential there is a RERA, and for other sectors also there are other regulations. I think we have opened up for other sectors, and there is a good shift from Bangalore and Hyderabad to Chennai is what we have seen in the last 1 year of the period, where there is many players have entered Chennai and they are developing and this thing, and local players also have been vigorous in moving forward with the projects.
Thank you so much, Vivekanand, for taking the time out and dropping by to have this conversation with us and sharing a perspective and insight. That's it from us for this episode of Keeping It Real by Housing.com, where we keep it real always. Whether you're a pro or a beginner, we are here to keep you informed and entertained in the world of Indian real estate. Do keep on tuning in to this podcast wherever you are listening to a podcast from. This episode and all the podcasts associated with Keeping It Real can be found on the Housing.com app, on the YouTube channel of Housing.com, on earshot.in, on Spotify.com, on Apple Podcasts, on Geo7, and a host of other podcast streaming platforms and directories. Take care and stay safe.